Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another weekly installment of the USA Hockey Officiating Zoomcast series. Tonight's episode is E18, titled Icing and Offsides, where we're going to cover the nuts and bolts, the basic fundamentals of calling offsides and icings, as well as we'll get into some upper level, more advanced stuff, the type of stuff as one of our panelists would say the types of things that make good linesmen into great linesmen. And so we've got a lot of great information to share. For those of you who don't know me, my name is BJ Ringrose, and I am the manager of the USA Hockey Officiating Program. And joining me tonight, I have two excellent panelists with a lot of background in the art of linesman, or the science of linesman, depending on how you see it. Joining me first is Ken Radolinski. Ken is from the Atlanta, Georgia area. Been a USA Hockey official for 22 years, worked his way up through the grassroots rank and so forth, and now is working currently in the American Hockey League and the ECHL. So worked his way all up, now working professional level. He also serves as a seminar instructor out there in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And he's been doing that for several years. And he also gives back to USA Hockey on a national level by serving as a camp director in our summer development camp programs each summer. Joining us also is Jennifer Cameron. Jennifer Cameron's from the Northborough, Massachusetts area, which is kind of wedged in between Boston and Worcester, for those of you who are familiar with how that state is laid out. USA Hockey official for about 20 years herself. Worked her way up through the grassroots ranks, and as well as all of our summer development camps that I just mentioned earlier. She has been to our women's future regional camp, as well as the elite experience, and has now worked his way into the NCAA level, the Division I college level, as well as serves as an IIHF linesman, so international tournaments as well. And she also gives back as a seminar instructor also out there in her local area, so giving back as a volunteer. With that, that's our panel. I just want to remind everybody who is attending, just remember that you can submit questions to the panel via the Q&A feature in the menu on your screen. So feel free to submit a question at any given time over the course of this presentation. When we get to the point where we start fielding some of those questions, we will hopefully get to all of them. And with that, we will actually start with our first topic. First topic is going to be icing. We're going to focus on that first. And as we typically do with the USA Hockey Zoomcast, we're going to launch a quick poll. So the first question of the poll: for the purposes of calling icing, how high does the opposing team's goal line extend? So when the puck is shot from behind the center red line, and it's going to cross the goal line, how high does that opposing team's goal line extend? Question number two: true or false? During a potential icing situation, the back official will never wave off an icing once they initiate the potential icing signal. In other words, raise their hand. So we'll give it about 10 seconds or so for you to submit your answers. Okay, pencils down, and we'll share the results. Question number one: for the purposes of calling icing, how high does the opposing team's goal line extend? The answer options were top of the goal frame, top of the rink glass, or indefinitely. And really happy to see that the overwhelming majority of you, 89%, said indefinitely. That's the correct answer. That goal line does extend all the way up to the roof of the rink, or all the way up to the stratosphere, I guess, if you're playing in an outdoor rink. Question number two: true or false? During a potential icing situation, the back official will never wave off an icing once they initiate a potential icing and raise their arm. And that was actually split right down the middle. 50 of you said that's a true statement. 50% of you said that's a false statement. The correct answer is actually false. While it's rare, doesn't happen very often that once that back official does raise their arm for a potential icing call, rarely do they ever wave it off or lower their arm. But there may be situations where that back official may notice something, a tipped puck, or they raise their arm for the potential icing, and all of a sudden they look at the penalty clock and realize that team is shorthanded. And they realize that they threw it up in error. That could be one where suddenly you step up the presence and get loud and give that washout signal, because you know 110% in your heart that that is not supposed to be an icing call, and that's when you step up. And that's one of those types of things that where, you know, good linesmen versus great linesmen, having that courage to step up and make that washout signal, because that's ultimately the correct call to make. So, and just a another little point when it comes to, for those of you who are taking our exams, our open book and closed book exams, very, very few things within the officiating world are absolutes. So when you ever see a test question that says never or always, it's kind of a red flag. It's not necessarily mean that, you know, it's false or whatever. Like, very, very few things are ever absolute. And that's just a test taking tip for you. On that note, we will go on to our first presentation. That's going to go to Miss Cameron. Miss Cameron's going to take over the icing presentation for us. Oh, sorry. As Jenny mentioned, I got that backwards. Ken Radolinski is going to kick us off with the icing presentation.
I will go ahead and kick us off with the presentation. So first, I want to thank you, BJ, for inviting me to be a guest panelist. It's a big honor. And hopefully we can give you guys a good show tonight, and hopefully everybody learns a little something. So let's go ahead, we'll hop in here and do a little screen share. And you guys see that all right now, BJ?
Yep, looks good.
All right, perfect. So let's go in here. We're going to get into a couple of advanced topics with linesmen at the position. So, close out that poll so it's not in my way. So verbal communication with the players as the back and the front official is very important. When you're that back official and you're signaling that we have a potential for icing, you have to verbalize, you have to get that crisp signal up there. Everybody on the ice and in the building needs to know exactly what you have. So communication is key, not just for them on the ice, but also for your partner. Your partner might be blocked out by players, might not see you, might be moving away from a potential hit along the wall or avoiding play. And so they might not actually have the chance to see you, but working with that partner constantly, knowing your voice, hearing you yell icing and verbalizing loudly can really help that front official out. And then that front official also needs to let the players know while they're hustling down to the goal line that we have a potential for icing. This will let them know if there's a possibility of a whistle or the fact that they have to keep skating hard to nullify that icing. We don't want to have a potential where players could wind up getting hit or hurt because of either a late whistle or the fact that we were too late waving that. We also need to be aware of the on-ice strength. Depending on the age classification that you have, if it's a 14U game and below, even if that team is down a man, icing is still in effect. Now, if this is a 16U game and above, we could now have the potential where that team that's shorthanded shoots the puck down the ice and we don't have icing. So knowing the level of play that you're working is going to be huge in knowing whether or not we're going to have icing or not. We also need to make sure that we're hustling down to the goal line on an icing potential if the goaltender decides to come out and play the puck. Now remember, for USA Hockey Youth and Adult, the goaltender is not deemed to have to play the puck. In fact, that goaltender can come out, he can stand there with the stick like he's going to play the puck, lift it up, puck goes by and crosses the goal line, we still have icing. But if we're not hustling and we're not getting to that right spot to see that goaltender and whether or not he touches it, we could miss either an icing or the potential to wave that off. And we talked a little bit about this a second ago with waving the icing a little too early for player safety. If we wind up having a situation where the puck gets shot down and it's about to cross the line or it already has crossed the line and we wait 2, 3, 4 seconds and then we blow that play dead, we put those players in a position to wind up possibly injuring themselves or others. So we need to make sure that we're hustling, and as soon as that puck crosses the line, if that USA Hockey game you're working has the automatic icing, that needs to be blown dead right away. So here we got a rink diagram, and I want to go ahead and show you all what I'm talking about. So if we have a situation where that puck is coming down and then it winds up crossing the line, if you have players here, let's see. So if you have players, oh, sorry about that, guys, up in this area, and they are now bearing down on each other, As soon as that puck crosses that line, we need to make sure that we're blowing play dead. And once we're skating down with those players, we also need to be letting them know that we have the potential for icing. This way they know that there could be a whistle, or if they get to that puck before that it crosses that line, they know that we could have a potential to keep playing. But it's really important that as soon as that puck crosses that line, we are in that right spot, beating the players down to that ice so that we can make sure they see us, they hear us, they know the call, because player safety has to be paramount. So here we want to make sure that we're hustling after the whistle and we're going to the hot spots after the whistle. So even on an icing scenario, when we're coming down and we're getting ready to blow that play, we might have a potential for no icing there. Well, if we waive that, we need to make sure that we're able to get back to our positions. If we wind up blowing that play dead for icing, we have to get to that hot spot. We have to get close to those players. There could be a potential for a hit. And your partner, the back linesman, needs to be skating hard down with the play to make sure that they're there as well to protect those players. You need to make sure, too, that we are aware of the penalty times. So when does the player come out? Are there multiple players coming out of the box? Did those players have an altercation prior to going into the box? So if you have a situation where we're skating 4-on-4 and it's a 16U game, and a team ices the puck, we know, okay, that's still going to be icing. If we have a situation where that team is going to be down a man in a 16U game and they ice the puck, we know no potential for icing because they're allowed to. Now, if we have a situation where those two players that went in the box and were skating 4-on-4, you know that they were roughhousing, they wound up going in the box, and play is going to stop now after the 2 minutes. We need to be aware of how much time is on that clock. And if those penalties expired during play, and then we wind up having a whistle, those players are going to be coming out of the box. So that's when you and your partner need to be skating up, coming up to the penalty box, making sure that those guys aren't going to be roughhousing anymore, making sure players, puck, and position. And knowing the game time in the last few seconds of a period or the game is huge. So some of you on the call here tonight might not know about the 8-second rule. And the 8-second rule is at the end of each period, the last 8 seconds, the linesman that is opposite of the referee is going to wind up creeping down low into the zone. And the reason for that is we know we're going to have a whistle. Very few times in the game we know we're going to actually have a whistle, and the end of the periods is always the time when you know that play is going to be dead. So when that last 8 seconds comes, the linesman that's opposite the referee in the 1-2 system or even the 4-man system is going to come down low and take their position on the goal line at home base. And then this way we know as soon as that whistle blows, we're going to the hot spot of the players, but we're also there to be support for the referee in case he gets blocked out by a puck going in the net, because what's the most important play in hockey? It's a goal. So we got to make sure that we're there to support our referees too. We also want to make sure too to look at the clock after each whistle. So if you have a situation where penalty time is up on the board and we have 3 seconds left, 2 seconds left, whistle blows, we look up, there's still 1 second, and that player's coming out of the penalty box, we know, okay, hey, we got to get that guy back in the box, there's still 1 second left. But if we look up there and we notice that that clock ticks an extra 2-3 seconds and then stops, we have the ability to go over there and let the timekeeper know, hey, we got to put that time back up on the clock. So just wanted to show a little bit of the diagram of what we were talking about there with the last 8 seconds. So if we have a referee who is down low in the zone, we're going to say referee's about right here. You have back linesman, front linesman. What's going to happen here now in the last 8 seconds is that front linesman is going to creep down low and they're going to take their position as if they were a referee right around home base. This back linesman is going to creep up now to cover this blue line. And the reason for that is we can't have a naked line, Because if this puck winds up coming back up now, let's see if I can. Let's say we've got puck is down low and gets shot back up here in those last 8 seconds. Well, we don't have a linesman covering that area unless this back linesman comes up to take that line. So it's really important that you have good, proper communication with your partner. Usually around 15 seconds to 30 seconds left in that period, I'm giving a look over to my partner. I'm giving a nonverbal, like, hey, if I'm the guy that's going in, I'm going down low. I'll give a little, hey, 8 seconds. They know then that I'm going to be going down low in the zone. So as soon as they see me creep down low to the goal line, my partner, who was the top linesman, now gets to creep in and cover my position at the line. And then as soon as that play gets blown dead, linesman's coming in, and we're going to those hot spots for those players. So another situation that we could have is waving off an offside when you have a delayed icing in effect. So we have to be careful of waving off that close play at the blue line if we have a potential for icing, because once we make that washout, those players that are barreling down at the puck, or even the goaltender in the net, might think that we don't have an icing scenario, when in fact we do. So you want to make sure when you're crossing that blue line, give a good verbal communication. Let the players know that the play was good, but that we still have an icing potential. And you could have situations on icings when an opponent wants to avoid the puck during an icing situation. So some examples of that would be not skating directly to the puck, or if that defenseman lifts up their stick, or if they wind up turning the opposite way to the puck. So we need to make sure that that player is making every attempt to get that puck and to retrieve it. If they wind up taking the long route and they turn around to their right, even though the puck went by them on their left, well, we might have a possibility where we're waving off that icing because that player didn't make that direct line to that puck. Same thing with the stick lift. You know, they'll call it alligator arm sometimes too, where the player can clearly get the puck if they fully extended with that stick, but they give you one of those short arms. That's something that we have to be aware of, because if that player could have played the puck, we shouldn't be penalizing the team that shot the puck down legally by having a face-off back in their defensive zone. And this goes for the same thing too. You got to be aware of, was that defender actually able to legally play that puck? Was it a fair play at the puck? You could have a situation where maybe the speed of the shot by the defending team was way too hard. And it didn't matter even if that puck was on the ice. It was just shot too hard. They couldn't get to it. That's a situation that we might have icing. If that puck bounces over the stick of the other team trying to stop the icing, we could still have a potential for icing, because once that puck is now in the air, it's not deemed playable anymore. And also, if you wind up having that shot where it's coming around and it rims the wall real hard and the defenseman's right there, that puck hops over, we still have icing. We can't deem that that player legally had a chance to get that puck. And we also need to be aware of when teams are making a line change and they're electing not to play the puck. So if we have a situation, we'll go back to the diagram here, and we've got home team is shooting the puck down from their defending side of the red line, and it crosses through the visiting team's bench. But during that puck crossing over in this area, you have players changing. Well, those players elect not to play the puck, even though they were legally able to do so. They chose not to play the puck as to maybe not get too many men on the ice, which is fine, but icing needs to be nullified in that scenario, because they're still deemed to have to play the puck, and they chose not to. So we can't penalize the offending team shooting the puck down the ice for the icing. We can't penalize that team and give the other team, the visitors, a territorial advantage for something that the home team didn't do wrong. They shot the puck down. Visiting team could have legally played the puck. They chose not to. So since they made that choice, we're not going to penalize the home team in that scenario. So a couple of things that I just want to end on here to let everybody know is communication is key. You want to make sure you're communicating with your partners before during, and after the game. Have your pregame talks. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of times where you're going to be working with someone for the first time. Maybe you've even worked with them 1,000 times. I know the next panelist you're going to hear from, Jenny Cameron, we have worked together a lot. But I guarantee you, if we were going to work a game tomorrow, we would be having about at least a 20-minute pregame talk about what level are we working. Have these teams seen each other before? Have you worked this level in a while? There's a lot of things that we would wind up talking about before that game to make sure that we were ready for it. And we all need to leave our ego at the door. The main thing is that we come with a good attitude to the rink and that we just get the call right. It doesn't really matter how we look out there. The main thing that matters is that we get it right. Obviously, we want to look great when we're doing it, but there are going to be situations sometimes where maybe you're like, hey, you know what? This might not look great for us, but what's the best thing for the game? What's the right call? And those are the things that are going to separate the good linesman from the great linesman. And above all else, just remember to have fun out there. Keep skating hard. And thank you guys. I appreciate your time.
Outstanding job, Ken. Really, really good job covering both basic fundamentals and some of the advanced stuff. Just to circle back really quick on one of the things you were talking about, I just wanted to put a button on it, a little bit of emphasis on it. When you talked about the defenseman turning the wrong way when they could have played the puck or taken an alternate path, I just wanted to re-emphasize it. In those situations, that puck must be playable as well. In other words,
Yes.
if the puck's like 5 to 10 feet off to the left and he turns off to the right and away from the puck, that puck's not deemed playable. So at the same time, that would still be an icing call. It's basically that defenseman who tries to cheat and essentially the puck stay within reach of the stick, reasonable, going a reasonable speed, but then turns the opposite way, hoping to avoid getting the washout and being held accountable for playing that puck.
Yeah, and we want to keep that team honest too in that scenario. The team icing the puck, we got to keep them honest. We got to make sure that they're making the legal play, but it's the same for that defending team as well. If they've got a legal play on that puck and they choose not to, or they make the wrong move because of it, then we make the right call.
No, you're absolutely right, Ken. And when we were talking last week about this, and forgive me, I don't believe you mentioned it in your presentation. How about when the puck's shot down for icing and you're that front official at your blue line and the puck's coming across and maybe you have an attacking player coming across that blue line at the same time that puck's entering the zone, you have a potential offsides and potential icing call. What's kind of a key thing to keep in mind there?
So when you have that potential for the offside, you've got to make sure that you're verbalizing. If you give that signal on that play and you give that washout that play is good, and then it keeps going down the ice for icing, everybody in the building is going to think that you've washed that out for icing. So we have to make sure that we're using good verbal communication in that play. Let the players know, hey, that's good. We still got icing, And you've got to make sure everybody in the building can hear you.
Yep, and acknowledge the offsides. If the player's offsides, absolutely blow it down if it's an offside situation. Or if it's a delay, then you put the delay signal on for the delayed offsides. But the key thing to mind is be careful about washing out that offsides call when that puck comes across that blue line, because everyone might be thinking that you're washing out the icing. And all of a sudden you made the right call, but the team's complaining now and getting in your ear because they think they only know what they know and they think you had washed out the icing as opposed to just the offsides call. Great job overall. Jenny, anything to add?
So, no, I think especially in that last situation, using that verbal communication, and that's one of those instances where Kenny had mentioned, having those pregame conversations where you kind of want to anticipate what type of situations might we have, and especially if we're working at higher level games, being able to talk about what are those situations, what do we do in those, if I do this, you'll do that, and just being able to have that communication and visualization before being in those situations can really help with making the right calls and doing the game the right way.
Great point. Really great point. Okay, from there, we're going to move on from icing into offsides. And to relaunch this topic, we are going to start with another poll. Question number 1, true or false? Intentional offsides must always be called when the puck is shot into the attacking zone on net, with attacking players in the end zone, obviously. Question number 2, An attacking player in the attacking zone falls near the blue line as a teammate carries the puck back into the attacking zone from the neutral zone. She reaches with her hand and touches the blue line before the puck crosses. So it touches with her hand, touches that blue line. What's the call? And we'll give you about 10 seconds or so. And we'll share our results. Question number 1, true or false? Intentional offsides must always be called when the puck is shot into the attacking zone on net with attacking players in the zone. And just to clarify, this isn't a delayed tag-up offsides type game as opposed to immediate offsides game. If that puck shot back directly in on goal, which would result in an immediate whistle. Is that intentional offsides? Got another split one. 57% of you said false and 43% of you said true. And the answer there is false. And again, thinking back to what I said earlier about very, very few absolutes with the playing rules. There could be a situation, it could be a situation where when that puck shot back in, it could be deemed intentional. And Jen's going to talk about that when she gives her presentation. But in some cases, it might not be. If there's an honest play played at the blue line where the puck comes out by a little bit and shot back in, that wouldn't necessarily be an intentional offside situation. Question number 2, the attacking player in the attacking zone falls near the blue line as a teammate carries the puck back across into the attacking zone. She reaches with her hand and touches the blue line before the puck crosses the line. What is the call? And 86% of you said offsides, and a fringe minority of you, 14%, said it's no offsides. In this case, that's an offsides call. And if you reread the offsides rule, there's a clarification there that it must be skate contact with the blue line to be an onside play or to tag up with the blue line. So just to clarify that, a hand or a body or anything like that does not nullify the offside situation. It has to be skate contact. So with that, we will move on to Miss Cameron and her presentation on offsides.
All right. So I have the esteemed pleasure of presenting offsides to all of you tonight. And to start, I do want to thank BJ and USA Hockey for having me serve on the panel tonight. And also I want to thank all of you guys here that are giving your time, spending your night with us. You know, definitely shows great commitment to the game and dedication to your growth and skills as an official. So we do thank you for joining us tonight. So to kind of reiterate a few things that BJ and Kenny had talked about in what kind of makes a good linesman into a great linesman. And one of those key features is definitely going to be your awareness when you're on the ice. And these are things that, you know, where you need to be, who you need to be watching, getting a feel for the game, anticipating those situations before they happen. So these are all going to be things that you will learn over time throughout working different games, seminars, instructors, learning from your partners, from different supervisors, and again, gaining that experience as you develop your skill set and your toolbox throughout your years and working the various levels that are in your area. So without further ado, let's dive into our offsides, right? So offsides is going to occur when an attacking player precedes the puck into the attacking zone. So they are going into the zone before the puck does. So some of the main factors that we want to be paying attention to are going to be the player's skates and the puck, both in relation to that blue line. So as BJ had previously just mentioned, the skates do need to be in contact with the ice. And we also need to be focused on the puck and both the skates and the puck, where they are crossing the determining edge of that blue line. Right, so a few key signals for our offsides calls. So we've got an offside violation call where we're going to be pointing to the face-off location whenever that whistle is blown dead. We'll also have a delay, or we call it tag up sometimes, where it's going to be in classifications to the 14 and unders and above, and then anytime 12 and under and below, these are always going to be immediate offside situations. And then we have our classic washout signal, which is used to signal that we have a legal or onside play. Right, so just to kind of clarify a little bit of that determining edge feature that you hear so often, right? So the blue line is obviously part of the puck that part of the zone that the puck is in. And the puck also needs to be completely across that line for us to determine. So as you can see here, we have play coming into the zone. So this blue line right now is a part of this neutral zone. The determining edge, which is the edge we want to be on as the linesman, is going to be this side right here, the side opposite from the play. Okay, and then it's kind of like we're working that line. We're having a little dance with that line, going a little back and forth. So once that puck, so this is again what we just saw, play coming in, linesman here or on the other side. But on the flip side, if the play is coming from the attacking zone out to the neutral zone, we do need to shift and ride that line from one side to the other, right? So that determining edge is kind of always ever changing based on the puck that the zone is in. Okay, so these are definitely things that we want to remember as we're calling our offsides or onsides calls, right? So washout situations, and I want to take my pointer off the screen here. So play is gonna not be considered offside when, and this is where a lot of judgment is gonna come into play, where we wanna be aware of a player that has possession and control of the puck, skating backwards from the neutral zone into the attacking zone. So actually their feet, their skates are preceding the puck into the zone, but we need to be aware and have that judgment that the player has full possession and control of the puck. So in this case, we're gonna have a good onside legal play, right? We'll give it the washout here. Another instance where we could have a washout situation is anytime that the defending players are going to pass or bring the puck back into their own defending zone. So even if there are attacking players in that attacking zone, when a defending player brings it out or brings it back into their own zone, right, they're choosing to have that play. They're making that play happen. So those attacking players have every right to apply the pressure now in that zone and have legal hockey plays on the puck. All right, so some instances where we will have an immediate whistle for offsides. First off, the first thing I want to mention is we need to be mindful of the age classification. So U12s and below, we're always going to have an immediate offside. So the moment that puck illegally crosses the blue line, we're blowing the play dead and going to the ensuing faceoff. Okay, other instances are going to be when a puck carrier, an attacking player, carries the puck across the blue line with players already in the attacking zone. Another instance is going to be anytime that they're going to receive a pass from the neutral or defending zone all the way into the attacking zone. And I'll be kind of going over a diagram here in a moment, right? And then anytime that the puck is going to be carried from the attacking zone. So I'm in the attacking zone, I carry it outside, and then I bring it back in, but I have teammates in. I've had a legal play that I've now turned into an illegal play. So let's kind of talk about a little bit of what those instances are. And I'm going to use the annotation here to kind of draw that out. All right, so the first one that we talked about, right? So if we're calling this our defensive zone, this is the puck or the attacking zone I want to be scoring on, right? And I'm coming in on a 2-on-1. So I'm here, and Kenny is going a little too fast for me and gets across that blue line before I do. As I carry the puck in, we're going to have an immediate offside call. He entered the puck, or he entered into the zone prior to me bringing the puck into the zone. All right, then we're going to have another instance again where Kenny got a little too eager. He got ahead of the game here. And instead of me carrying the puck into the zone this time, I am now taking the puck, passing it to him where he catches that pass, and then we again have an immediate offside call. Now, something to note, if Kenny does not catch that pass, right, he knows he's offsides, recognizes it, maybe lifts his stick and lets that puck continue into the zone, we don't necessarily have an immediate whistle here. We have a situation where Kenny could back out of the zone, tag up, and now we can have a washout legal play and go capture that puck. All right, so Kenny can't be a little eager on me here. We have to have good onside calls. All right, so another thing to note, right? So especially with that pass. So let's say I'm passing the puck and I make that pass from here. We have an offside play. as the linesman, we need to make sure we are not giving undeserved space to the teams, right? They have to earn the space that they're working for. They have to gain that space. So if I'm passing this puck here, and although Kenny receives it offside, we're actually going to be taking our face off here to center ice. Okay, we're not going to be going to either one of these low neutral zone dots because we didn't earn that space yet. We did not gain that space. The same instance goes, so let's back up a little bit more, right? If I were to be somewhere around right here and I make that pass where Kenny receives it offside, right? So we're not going to have a face off at center ice. So no, we're not going to have a face off at those two close neutral zone dots. We're going right here. This is the space that I gained. This is where we're going to be taking that drop. Also, as the linesman, make sure that when we do make that call, we're not necessarily pointing down the blue line or at the players. We're actually going to be pointing towards the direction of where we're going to be taking that face off, taking that puck. So that's just something also to kind of keep in mind there. And then again, you have the same instance. If I'm going to pass him that home run stretch pass all the way from deep in the zone, we did not gain any of the 5 dots here in the neutral zone. We have to bring it all the way back to that defensive zone face-off spot. All right, so get rid of these annotations here. And on to the next. So a couple things we did just mention about the tagging up or the delayed offside. So again, this is going to be when the puck is shot or passed into the zone with one or more teammates in that attacking zone, right? So we will have the delay unless there are instances where we illegally touch the puck. Perhaps we illegally apply pressure onto the defensive team trying to bring it out while we are still offside in that delay. And then also, and I'll touch on that in a moment. So a delayed offside, we're going to nullify this. It's going to become a good hockey play once the puck exits the attacking zone. It's no longer in the attacking zone, so we don't even have an offside situation in this moment once it leaves that zone. Another instance is going to be like we said. So we've passed the puck or dumped it into the zone. And right now we're offside, so we've got that delay. Then we're going to make sure all players, we're going to be signaling. This is a good time to signal and use your verbalization, right? Communicate to the players. Off, offside, blue, whatever the color of the team is. So they know they're not always looking at us, right? So we want to make sure we're verbally giving them that direction, clear the zone, and we all do that at the same time. So I can't just clear the zone and then go back in while Kenny never cleared the zone. We got to do it at the same time. And then another instance, and this was kind of brought up in that poll, where if we shoot the puck directly on net, there will be an immediate whistle. No goal can be scored on this. But in the classifications where there's a delay, we actually will have a delay until we see that that puck is actually going on net, right? So we can't have that whistle a little premature thinking it's going to go on net because it might go just slightly wide and we don't want to be blowing that play dead too early. Okay, so, and kind of giving some of these instances, and this will segue into the next part here, which will be intentional offsides. So let's say we do have a defender. Okay, so I'm playing defense here, and I get the puck passed back to me. In taking an extra dribble at the blue line, very close to the blue line here, I actually dribble the puck just outside the blue line before I take my shot on net. In this instance, we do have an offside play, right? So we're going to blow that whistle. However, the defenseman in this case did not intentionally seek to stop play. They just barely brought it outside the blue line, shot it on net, so we have that whistle, but we are going to just take the face-off to the nearest face-off, neutral zone face-off dot to the defensive zone, or I'm sorry, attacking zone. On the flip side, I get this puck, I dribble it again, and I goof it. I realize I take it outside the blue line. And I continue to sort of skate back, trying to maybe create a regroup. And then I realize, oh shoot, there's pressure on me. So I see my teammates are still in the attacking zone, but I'm gonna get rid of it and I'm putting it right on net. I intentionally made that play happen. I got pressure on me. I needed to create a stoppage of play. In this case, we are going to have an intentional offsides, and we will be bringing that puck all the way back to the defensive zone of that attacking team. Which segues right into the situations we're talking about with intentional offsides. Where again, this is going to be anytime a team is deliberately trying to secure a stoppage of play. Pressure is on them. They don't have any other choice, or they feel like they don't, and this is just kind of the easy way out. They are intentionally making that play. We're going to be blowing the whistle, taking it all the way down. Right? Another instance is going to be where they're making no effort or attempt to play the puck, or they're applying pressure onto the defending puck carriers. Right? So instead of the defensive team having that time and space to create their breakout, their setup to take the puck outside of the defensive zone, we're applying that pressure. So now we're kind of controlling the direction that the defending team is going, right? So this is an intentional situation that we want to stop in every instance. The other thing too, if we're applying that pressure, we're also at risk of unnecessary contact between the players. And again, we don't want to be giving situations that could happen. Remember, we're trying to de-escalate situations, not have them escalate on us. All right, and then some final tips, and then BJ, Kenny, if there's any other situations or clarifications we want to draw out. But some final tips that you guys will always hear over, from game to game throughout the years, right? We don't want to get beat to our blue. That blue line is our bread and butter as a linesman. So we always want to make sure we are there ahead of the play. We want to be on that determining edge side to make sure we see everything. We give ourselves that best sight line possible. We also want to make sure we're giving strong signals, right? It looks professional, and it's going to set the tone and give you good presence there at the blue line. Communication and verbalization, again, that can help with the game flow. Let players know they're offside. You've got the delay, so they'll come out of the zone. Then we've got the pregame talks with the partners, which Kenny had briefly mentioned as well, and anticipating those situation and plays. That's just going to set you and your team up for success throughout the game. And then obviously awareness. Players, partners, clock, position, anything and everything that can go on in a game. We want to make sure we're doing our absolute best to be aware and help each other out as a team. All right.
Thanks, Jen. All great, good information. You covered the nuts and bolts fundamentals of how offsides works, but at the same time, did a lot of kind of some advanced and intermediate and advanced type stuff that type of stuff that again sets average linesmen apart from good linesmen, and good linesmen apart from great linesmen. So very, very well covered. We're going to jump actually into some video clips right now. We got a good little collection of video clips that we're going to show and share, and we'll present the clip and I'll put it out there to the panel to comment. So we'll start with a few icing clips here.
Yep, so here's that situation that we were talking about during my slide where, if you're not hustling, and you can see the linesman on the left-hand side there, he's the one that's going to have to complete that icing play. So if that goaltender comes out to his right, he could block that linesman out from where that puck is. So see here, it gets shot, goaltender's coming out, and you can see the positioning of the linesman here. Now, if this is an automatic icing scenario, which this game you can see isn't, because the goaltender's coming out, and in other rule books, if the goaltender comes out or feigns to play the puck, we would waive that. And that's what we have here. But if this is an automatic icing scenario, that official gets blocked out by that goaltender. If he decides not to play that puck and just lifts his stick, as soon as that puck crosses the line, we've got icing. So that's where you got to make sure you're hustling down to get the best sight line to make that call.
And how about how the goaltender plays it here?
You're saying like coming out and he kind of slow plays it?
Well, with this being a automatic icing situation, puck comes down and crosses the goal line. Goaltender plays the puck, but he plays the puck after it crosses the goal line. So making that contact, that icing's been completed at this point. That's an icing call.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, as Rad said, basically having that sight line by that linesman is so critical, because given where his positioning is, you can see what are the odds, looking through that goaltender, looking through the leg pads, what are the odds of him getting a good sight line on where that contact is ultimately made. And both of you hit the nail on the head when you talked about hustling, skating your tail off and getting into proper position so you have good sight lines on these types of plays. And that's the reality of it is, as linesmen, our calls are black and white when you think about it. It's puck crossing lines. It's where people's feet are in relation to lines. When pucks cross lines, or when the puck crosses the center red line or the goal line, it's pretty black and white. There's not a whole lot of judgment involved, with the exception of maybe waving off an icing call where you think someone could have played that puck, or there's a little bit of judgment enters there, but there's not a whole lot of, it's really, really black and white and absolute. So that's why it's so critical for linesmen to maintain proper positioning and getting in the best position where they have a great sight line on each line when they have to step up and make a call. So move on to the next one. Okay, Rads, what do you have here?
So I love the positioning on this play. And you can see, notice where the linesman is at the top of your screen. See how he bumps off the wall there? Because that teammate winds up deflecting that puck. And he gives that clear signal he gives that it tips, and we've got a good play. But if you're a linesman in that situation and you're flat backing and you're staring at that play and your back's to the wall and you're looking at it onto the side, that's a puck that can easily bounce and hit you, and now you've affected play. So the fact that the linesman gets inside the zone, so he's on the determining edge. So if that puck did wind up hitting him, he's not preventing it from gaining the zone. But coming off that wall, that extra 1, 2, 3 feet, depending on the play, and verbalizing to that player, hey, Liney behind you, all of those small little details can make that play look as easy as it did there. But those are easy to mess up if you're not hustling to get into the right position, if you're flat backing, if you're not communicating with those players and letting them know where you are.
Okay, Rads, what do you have?
I love this play. So one, I love the hustle by the linesman up top. So you can clearly see he's busting his tail to get down the ice. Now this player here, Red, he was skating hard early, but you can see he clearly starts dying down on that puck. And the linesman does it early enough with that washout too. So it's here, it's here. He can easily give that extra 2, 3 hard strides, and in my opinion, could have easily played that puck. But he's dogging it for a reason. He's trying to get a whistle. And that linesman had the awareness and the hustle to know, hey, that guy could play that puck, and I'm not going to penalize the team who just iced that puck when that could have been legally played. It's a great call.
Just to lay on that a little bit further, when the puck's coming down and you determine, as you always respect the icing call. Ultimately, the team that shot the puck down the ice, they're the ones that did not complete a play, and now the puck's coming down. So you have a potential icing call in that type of situation. We have to honor that call. But if it's the type of thing where you see the defenseman basically coming down on that puck and you know that he's going to make contact with that puck at the goal line, or say it might cross by, say, like an inch, might cross that goal line by, say, like an inch by the time he or she catches up to that puck and starts to rotate back the other way, that could be a situation where you as the front linesman could wave that icing off. The key with that basically being, if you're going to exercise that type of judgment in a game where it's good flow up and down, and basically they're going to get that puck right there at the goal line and you wave that off, it's got to be consistent both ways. If one linesman's calling it that way, that's good communication with your partner to make sure that they're calling it the exact same way. So whether it be at a stoppage, whether it be certainly before the game, or whether it be during a stoppage or in between periods, have that communication. Okay.
And that's one too, where if that's early on in the game and you've set that standard, those players are going to know, hey, we got to keep skating to that puck. because that player clearly had his momentum, and that momentum started to slow down to get that call.
Okay, we'll do one more for icing.
Oof. So I've got icing on this. Clearly. And then what happens?
You would not be
Boom.
alone in that thought.
Yeah. And then exactly what happens. And you can see how quickly things can go wrong if the team out there on the ice wearing the stripes isn't being aware. And this is a team effort on this one too. It's not just the fault of one official. So that puck was clearly shot from behind the red line, clearly an icing scenario, and nobody's got it. And then we've got a puck going in the net.
Yeah.
So
one of those situations too, where we really need to have these pregame conversations, especially for neutral zone drops and how quickly play can come up or down right off of that drop. So in this instance, we do have enough of a transition to where I think the linesmen have established a front and a back. But regardless, it's so bang bang that we need to be aware, right? So maybe my partner, that back linesman, he wasn't aware of that right away. Maybe wasn't even focused on it because it was so quick off the drop that, yes, I might be making that drop, but I should make sure that I'm aware this could be a play. This could be a situation. And he might not have his arm up. That might need to be something that I take control of. Because, yeah, we're probably the only ones that would know he's not putting his arm up either, right, on the ice. Players don't know. All they know is, oh, the whistle was blown, we have an icing call, right? And I would rather make that call and get it right then and there than to have that puck cross that line, have nothing happen from it other than it's a turnover and now it's a goal, and that's completely on us. So having that pregame conversation to say, hey, what are we going to do in instances like this? Drops and it goes from here to here. What should you do? What should I do? Right? Those situations are definitely going to be minimized if we do have that communication before a game starts.
Great. Thanks, Jen. We're going to go into some offsides clips now, and I can see just based on the time, we're going to spill a little bit more over the 60-minute mark, and I do apologize for that. If any of you have to do take off at the top of the hour, by all means, remember that this Zoomcast will be packaged and posted at the Zoomcast page at usahockey.com so you can watch what you missed. So we'll move on to the next clip. Anything, guys?
I think it's a great job by the linesman getting into the zone on that determining edge side. I mean, great awareness. His sight line is right on point to where he can see that those players overskate the puck, get into the zone before. And although that back gray player doesn't necessarily touch the puck at the time when he blows the whistle, definitely is a very close attempt for him to play that puck that's offside. And again, as we talked a little bit about earlier, this could turn into a situation where we'll have unnecessary contact due to an offside illegal hockey play. So in this instance, I agree with the linesman blowing that dead right then and there and saying, okay, let's go right here and have a drop and continue on.
Yeah, this is one of those where, yeah, he lifts the stick up. He doesn't technically touch the puck. Could we have maybe waited another second? Yeah, but he's clearly, the linesman can see that player was going to play the puck. And if you do have players bearing down at you, to have that unnecessary contact there, no good is going to come from that play if you don't blow it dead and there is contact there.
Yep.
The principle being here is basically to blow that whistle when you determine that the attacking team doesn't realize it's a delayed offside situation and unnecessary contact is going to result due to that attacking team pursuing the puck carrier or saying the puck gets shot in along the boards and two opposing players happen to be in proximity of the puck. You have an illegal offside play right there. You're far better off blowing it dead and avoiding that contact and what may come out of it and just calling the offsides call and taking the face-off outside the zone to the face-off location where it's supposed to be.
So this is one where, you know, the linesman's definitely in good position, right? He's on the determining edge of that zone right now. So puck's in the attacking zone, he's in the neutral, and he's a few, you know, about 6 inches to a foot off, which is kind of standard USA hockey from where we want to ride that line. And the only thing I would say here, I think he does everything right. It bounces off of him. You know, we're part of the game. Things are going to happen in that nature. But I think he just is reacting a little too quickly. I think because that puck hits him, he kind of panics. And when it gets picked up by Green's actually the team trying to take it out of that zone, right? They're the defensive team. So that is an incorrect whistle. I think, you know, just taking that extra second or two to kind of calm and realize what's happening here lets that play continue. But again, I do want to, you know, where that linesman is in great stellar position. And I think that's just a situation where the more games you work and the more experience you gain, the calmer you are when bounces do come off of us and we do partly affect the game. And I think, again, that's something that grows as you grow.
Yeah, this is where, just like a referee, making sure that you're going to make the right call, it's okay to take that extra second and say, no, yep, that's a penalty. I'm putting my arm up here. Mm-hmm. Same thing for a linesman in this situation. He's in good position. Puck hits him and goes back in the zone. So he's got the offside delay, which is right. But just take that extra second. Okay, all right, guy got the puck. Which team is it? Nope, defending team. We're good here. Take that extra second to make sure that you're making that right call. A for effort.
Yeah.
What do you guys got here?
2020 Stanley Cup NHLer making these Superman moves. So obviously, as we kind of touched on one of the very basics of offside, that player needs to have skate contact with the ice for us to have a legal chance at that play. And clearly, that's not what's happening right here. Kenny, please add to this.
I mean, they like 9.7, but that's offside. Offside, clearly. I mean, you got to have skate contact. Now, had that player dove the other way on the ice and skate contact makes it first, yeah, we could have a good onside play. But one, that would be dangerous. You don't want players diving around on the ice anyway, especially skate first. But the skates have to be in contact with the ice in order to nullify that offside. Clearly, his skates are not on the ice on that play.
I commend him for the hustle.
Yeah.
I really do love that clip because obviously I get and collect a lot of grassroots hockey clips, and we try to show clips at the grassroots game or junior hockey as opposed to NHL clips. A lot of what you see in NHL games, it just doesn't translate very well to youth hockey in the grassroots game. But in this case, that's one of those types of plays. I could legitimately see that happening in a 10 and under game, or I could definitely see that happening in a lower level 12 and under game. That player coming back to try to tag the blue line before the puck gets into the attacking zone. So just a good, fun clip to share. With that, we are at the top of the hour, so we're going to have to wrap things up here. So I'm just going to review what's to come here in the Zoomcast series, what's up and coming. As you can see, here on October 13th, we are covering Icing and Offsides. Coming up next week, we have an episode entitled Volunteer Opportunities, where I am going to be back in the captain's chair. I'm going to be joined by Dave Labuda, who's our national referee-in-chief, as well as Kevin Donovan, who is our district referee-in-chief of the Massachusetts district. And we're going to discuss volunteer opportunities within USA Hockey. USA Hockey has roughly about 600,000 members overall, 25,000 of them being officials, 50,000 or so of them being coaches. For the national office staff, which is about 75 people, to overall govern 600,000 members, that's absolutely impossible. The reality of it is USA Hockey relies heavily on volunteers to make this organization run, whether it be the referee section or district referees and chiefs. them dictating policy and rules with regard to the referees and our officiating membership. The coaches-in-chief in the coaching section, our girls-women's section that basically overall governs girls and women's hockey in America, the youth council, which governs youth hockey, the adult council, which governs adult hockey. All of those are staffed and overall run by volunteers. So we're going to discuss the type of opportunities that exist in the officiating world and how to get involved if you're interested in getting involved in those off-ice roles. After that, we're going to do NCAA officiating. We're going to talk about some of the upper level opportunities that exist within officiating at the college level, be it Division I college or Division III college. That's on October 27th. And as you can see on November 3rd, that Tuesday happens to fall on Election Day. So we here at the Zoomcast team elected to take the week off that week. So we're going to be off, but we will be back on November 10th with another episode. So you can always find updated schedules at the Zoomcast page at usahockey.com. I'd like to remind you also, as you saw there on that slide, we have social media accounts out there on Twitter and Instagram. Easily to search, easy to like, and easy to follow. Feel free to join us. We always have updates regarding both the Zoomcast and updates with the officiating program in general. At the same time, we tend to retweet and share a lot of stuff from our main channel at USA Hockey on that channel as well. So feel free to join us and share us on social media. For those of you who joined us here, you'll also get a survey reminder. You'll get a link following this, the end of this Zoomcast episode. Please feel free to share your thoughts with regards to the instructor presentations, the material itself, but also there's one question that regards topics that you'd like to see. We always pay attention to that. We're always looking for new topic ideas that we can do, because that ultimately that tells us how we can serve our overall membership better. So on that, I'd like to thank all of you as the participants for joining us. For those of you who have joined us here for week in, week out for 18 episodes straight, thank you so much for your dedication and support. And if this is your first time ever joining us, thanks for joining us for this. And we hope to see you again on another Zoomcast somewhere in the near future. Also, thank the panelists here, Jenny Cameron and Ken Radolinski. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules, your personal time and personal schedules for joining us, and thank you for supporting USA Hockey in your own local areas as instructors and evaluators and mentors, and also joining us here for this hour. And with that, we'll wrap things up. Once again, BJ Ringrose on behalf of USA Hockey and the officiating program, thank you for your dedication to USA Hockey.